Hey guys, it's Seth here. I have a little bit of news regarding the podcast. This is not any sort of April Fool's or prank or anything, and it's not a cancellation of the podcast. I promise you that. I recently got a full-time job, and I need to focus on that over the podcast. I've had the freedom to do the podcast in my off time. For a while it was just being a loner and being able to do that, and then got to date Ellie, and that was kind of working too. And then when you get to be married, then you're like, you need to spend more time on the important things. And then for a while it was a couple part-time jobs, and I could fit it in here and there some evenings. And then it just, with a full-time job, it's going to be a lot harder to do weekly episodes. So I'm going to switch to bi-weekly episodes and do that instead. I still love the platform that I made. I love getting to talk with my friends on a weekly basis. And it's just unfortunate that it doesn't work. The dreams only go so far, and I want to continue. I want to keep building this platform, talking about stuff that keeps coming out. And when I eventually stop making episodes altogether, there's still things like the Discord and the community to talk about stuff, even if it doesn't require 10 hours a week making an episode. So unfortunately, that'll start this week, so no episode next week, and it'll be bi-weekly after that. We're going to be behind on a lot of cultural topics, I guess. Like Daredevil Born Again episode is going to come out 2 weeks after the actual finale, which is how it goes, So just letting you know about that. I'm glad that we don't have to stop making episodes, and there's a lot coming in the future that's going to be exciting. So thank you for being a part of this community and being able to give me a reason to do this. And I would still do it even if nobody listened, because I honestly love it. So part of just growing up. So we'll get you into the episode and enjoy.
I mean, to be fair, getting 7 dwarves would be a tall order.
You gotta stop, man. That was a good one. I'm sorry. That was really good.
You need carbs!
May thy knife chip and shatter.
There is beauty in imperfections.
You're great. I am.
And if you feel it,
Are you watching closely?
I don't want to mess this up too much, but that's...
Whoa, you disappeared. Your teeth are gone.
I know. So that Daredevil episode.
Well, it's 2 tonight.
I did hear that, yeah.
I was like, I just saw that on Instagram and I'm like, yeah.
We're going to be really behind on our Daredevil takes, because by the time this comes out, 3 more episodes will have come out by what we know. So we can say that our hesitancy for episodes 1 through 3 that we expressed last episode are a little taken aback by how good episode 4 was. And now by the time people hear this, 5, 6, and 7 will have come out. And episode 4 was the last one we've seen, and it's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Deacon, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Are you?
I'm gonna refrain from commenting on it because I don't want to spoil it for any.
Of course. Are you trying to catch up with the original?
No.
Okay, that's fine. I was curious.
I frankly don't have the time right now.
Yep. I don't know what I'm going to do when Andor starts coming out, because they've announced that they're going to do 3 episodes a day. Or sorry, not a day. Sorry, a week.
Okay.
It's 3 episodes a week, which is still a lot.
On 3 separate days, or drop 3 on one day?
3 on one day. I believe it's still a Tuesday schedule.
20-minute episodes, or are these 50-minute episodes?
I think they're 50.
Why would you drop 3 hours of content
people
each week?
like YouTubers are like, why are you doing this to us? Because they have to watch through them, make content for the next day, and get it up. The earliest is really how content works now, is how quickly can you get it up. And yeah, it's ridiculous. It's the lifespan of the show of anticipating is 2 to 3 weeks. From the start of episode 1 airing to when the finale airs is just 14 days. And of course there's going to be build up before, and there's going to be content after, but it's that's really fast and just seems ridiculous.
I don't know if that makes sense to me. From a marketing consumer standpoint, I don't think that makes sense.
Well, you know that Disney does everything rational and objectively correct the first time around, right?
I'm pretty sure that's what this episode's actually about.
Very thematic. I get the segue point.
This episode is just about how smart Disney has been with their intellectual property.
Yep.
I mean, that's a good enough transition, but
I was gonna say, even with like Daredevil dropping 2 episodes today, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
we'll see if it's like meaningful, if it needs to be these 2 back to back. But yeah, I understand doing an initial launch of 2 episodes. Streaming services have done that to get more of a hook. I still think that's a little lazy because you should be able to hook your audience within the first 5 minutes of the show opening or something similar. And then maybe a long finale. Some shows have like an hour long or hour and a half long finale to be dramatic and long. But
doing like episodes 5 and 6 is just
5 and 6 at the same time just seems so odd. Yeah. And now I have more homework to do. It's going to be good.
Let me just spoil it. They have no reason to put those 2 out at the same time. Because
I believe that.
I've been keeping up with the show, as we both know, and
I get that.
I think they just kind of probably wanted to end it on the day that they're ending it for some reason, so they just doubled these up, is my thought. But
did you just ask me what my pronouns are?
That's what the stupid form said.
My wife is filling out a form and asked what my pronouns are. I'm not even gonna say, Ellie. You
have to fill it out.
You know what they are.
I know. It's funny.
It is funny. It's just why do you? I'd like to be. Oh no, this is gonna get me canceled. I'll do what Gina Carano did, and what did she put? Beat Bop. I think she put Beat Bop as her profile, and people were like, "Oh, it's disrespectful." And she's like, "But you can't tell me what's right or wrong." So
I had to fill out during chapel today at my small Christian college, like this Spirit Pulse survey thing, where they like. You're supposed to like talk about the spiritual life on campus, and one of the last questions was like, what is your gender, male, female, transgender, non-binary, or prefer not to say? And I was like, I really thought about putting non-binary just to see if I was going to be confronted on it at some point, but I didn't.
Or if you go under the radar and just be like, all right, I guess they're taking that.
I guess I don't care.
That road. Well, we've ruined our segue point. We're talking about live action adaptations because this is being recorded the weekend after Snow White, and none of us have seen it. And
you didn't go?
I'm going tomorrow. Ellie and I Ellie and I will go tomorrow to hate watch it.
I salute you for your sacrifice.
Voting with your dollar is an idea that she and I have talked about for a second here. And one, we feel a little bit better because it's AMC subscription where it's not like we're buying a ticket. We're just getting access to the movie, But even not seeing it on opening weekend tells a lot. It gives you those initial opening weekend numbers to say, hey, this really flopped. If people are excited for a movie, they're going to see it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of its release. Or I guess I saw a headline that Superman is releasing on a Wednesday. So I don't know how that's going to affect opening weekend numbers. But yeah, that's one thing that tells a lot about a movie. And Snow White has absolutely flopped. People have been back and forth on it. I've seen some things about it not being as bad as you would think. It's a half decent made movie. The decision making behind it doesn't make sense, especially with dwarves and stuff. And the changes they made, but that's all sparking this conversation we're having now about live action adaptations. And I wanted to set the tone with both the history of it and just the concept of animation to live action. And I think my notes page started from an Instagram post of somebody saying animation is not a lesser form of art. Adapting an animated movie into live action is not an inherent improvement. And I resonate with that as someone with a degree in animation, but that's so true to say that it feels like just because they happen to make a good story with the means of animation way back when, that it's worse, that it's not good enough because it hasn't had the chance to be live action. And with that comes the history of live action remakes. The earliest that I could find was Popeye in 1980 with Robin Williams. Popeye was one of those characters that stood out in the early animation years that wasn't a Mickey Mouse rebrand, because that was what was very popular, was short films about Mickey Mouse and other mouse-like characters from different studios. But then Popeye came and was a different brand, and I believe he was probably a comic first, but then he turned into an animated character. And in 1980, they had Robin Williams play him in a movie, which there's some history behind that. There was some problems with the movie, but it wasn't the worst thing. Like, the next thing I had on my list was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 1990, where they were wearing rubber suits, and it was really kind of a, a fever dream. So it wasn't that, but it wasn't, something else that could have said, hey, let's do more of this. So I don't know what – this is not a comprehensive list, but then there's like Jungle Book, 1994, Flintstones, 1994, 101 Dalmatians, 1996, How the Grinch Stole Christmas in 2000, Scooby-Doo, 2002, Transformers could even be one of those under the list in 2007, The Last Airbender in 2010, and then into other Disney remakes from there. But somehow this idea of live action remakes thinks that live action is more legitimate form of storytelling, like an upgrade or improvement, even if the entire company was built off of animation like Disney. So it's like they started off with such amazing animation for 1937, I believe, for Snow White, and just decide that we're not going to stay true to the root. Like, obviously they make live action films, but they're kind of trouncing on their own, the own system that got them in this place originally. It's the animated version is not lacking anything. It's just, maybe it doesn't age well, but it doesn't mean you have to change it and redo it. Obviously the answer to all of this is money, but it's like upscaling Minecraft graphics. I've always, when you were a kid, you would have these like what Minecraft would look like in real life or with high resolution. It's like, that's not the point of the game. The point is to be pixelated and to look fake and to have this suspension of disbelief that you just understand is a wall that you're going to have to deal with, not in a bad way, but in a creative and fun way. That's my rant. I wanted to.
What would the Minecraft look like in the real world? Shows a picture of a tree. Wow, it's almost like Minecraft was just trying to emulate the real world.
Hey, to be honest, I would be very interested to see how many kids learned that glass was made of sand because of Minecraft. I believe that's how I learned, and millions of other kids learned it that way. So there's still a connection.
What did you think of the live action Villager in the new Minecraft movie trailer?
That's something else to talk about, but the point stands. It should not have been made. We've talked about it at length, but the fact that then they're including the Villager coming into the real world is going to be a whole crazy.
I think it might be the most entertaining part of the movie, depending on how they do it.
Okay, I know we're getting a little off track, but I messaged Zach this. I said, what are the chances that the Minecraft movie becomes a pop cultural sensation simply because of all the memes? And it's not like, Sonic kind of memed itself out of a corner, and Morbius was just a massive meme. I'm just thinking of other movies that had this meme culture behind it. But I actually see a turn in fans towards a acceptance of the Minecraft movie because of the memes and how Jack Black just names everything from the game. He's like, flint and steel, a nether, the whatever. It's been the meme recently. And he went on a Minecraft Twitch streamer's stream to talk and promote the movie. And there were, I don't know, he's embracing the meme. He's always embraced the meme. And it's like, I don't know, maybe it's actually going to be fun because of the real world story behind it. To answer your question, the villagers look hideous.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that?
Seth, are we going to the Minecraft movie?
I think we should. That's in like 2 weeks. Actually, no, that might be coming out when this episode comes out.
It's not that far away.
April 4th.
Yeah, this episode's coming out on the 4th. There you go.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys are listening to this. Zach and I will be at the theaters.
Oh, yeah. What's crazy to me that I just found out. So Disney's first live action remake was The Jungle Book,
Yeah.
a movie that they would later remake again.
Yeah. So it wasn't enough to remake it once.
They've remade Jungle Book twice. That just blows my mind.
I don't know. They're the most criminal offender in this situation. Obviously, people will talk about live action remakes. The other thing to talk about is how it's affecting other companies. DreamWorks and How to Train Your Dragon is obviously on the rise. But I looked at the rest of DreamWorks movies and I was like, there's not that many other ones that can actually be adapted. Like How to Train Your Dragon is the best option.
I really hope they don't try.
I know.
Live action Shrek's gonna go crazy.
That's the next one they would do. You know, that's the next one they would do.
I was gonna say The Croods was maybe one they could do.
Oh, I guess Croods
because it's one of the only other ones that's human based.
Live action Prince of Egypt.
Okay. They made it into a theater musical, and it's actually coming to University of Northwestern this fall.
It is,
and that's exciting. Though I watched it, Ellie and I watched I don't think it's Broadway, the West End recording of it, and there's some pretty questionable things. One, it's one of those interpretive dancing where like the chariot race is just them behind a bunch of people pretending to be horses in a chariot and stuff, so it's kind of weird like that. But then also there's a theological aspect where Moses asks God to use his powers, and not like use his power like we talk about God's power in us, but like powers like he's a superhero. So it's just kind of a mythology rather than a narrative that it seemed that it was approached with. I don't know how Northwestern's going to approach it, but it's still a good musical and with good music, I would say.
They could do Monsters vs. Aliens too.
I don't know. I don't want to see a real live action Bob. I don't know. No. There's something about Joe Rogan or not Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. And that crazy physical comedy. That's part of the joy of animation, is that there's so much flexibility that you can do. And I think DreamWorks does this well. DreamWorks leans into physical comedy a lot. And it just seems like they're now going down this rabbit hole with How to Train Your Dragon that just... I'm torn about How to Train Your Dragon. Like, it's going to be... I'm on Isaac's side where he's like, this is going to be so fun just to see something new. But then again, it's not new. They've marketed as frame by frame. There's people on social media whenever a new trailer drops that they match up the trailer to exact shots of what it was in the original. Or Zach, or maybe I sent it in the Discord, but you commented on it. The Lilo and Stitch trailer of the surfing scene, where there's such a dynamic pose of Nani and Lilo and Stitch on the surfboard that I think has been in posters for when it first released. But it's the classic Lilo and Stitch poster, and Nani's there. And then there's just for the trailer for the live action one, it's just two people on a board, and you can barely see Stitch. It's not dynamic. It's just like a documentary from way far away on the shore. It doesn't grip you the same way that animation does. And so it's not. Some of them aren't shot-for-shot remakes. It's ridiculous.
The thing about the How to Train Your Dragon remake, this is going to be a controversial claim right here. Controversy. I almost respect the casting of Astrid, because at least they're doing something different.
Sure.
Besides that, the whole thing is just a shot-for-shot remake, which is just shot-for-shot remakes. These are cash grabs.
Yeah.
That's all they are. I said this like a few weeks ago back at the beginning of our Phase 4 episode, but what live action remakes are, especially when they're shot to shot, is they make a lot of money, which is why we keep getting
unfortunately
them. But they'll never be the same, never be as good as the original.
Yeah. It's interesting what they're changing and what they're not. That's something that is people are going to compare. And when you have the chance to remake the story, what are you going to change? Are you going to change a dated joke? Are you going to change an entire character? Are you going to change it from a musical into not? That was a Mulan.
Nothing.
Nothing. Mulan lost a lot of its spirit because it wasn't a musical. Cinderella weirdly did not. People really liked Cinderella, probably because it's such a a core story and very basic, and can do a lot with just a princess and a prince and all that, with some of the lore of Cinderella thrown in. So it's not a cut and dry order to what works and what doesn't in that way. Sorry, what were you saying about nothing, Deacon? Or changing nothing?
You were just talking about what changes, and the answer is nothing, except it gets worse.
Oh yeah, it will get worse.
I mean, you mentioned it, how it's just a shot-for-shot remake and the dynamics of action, and like I understand why you would perhaps want to do a remake of a old live action film, because the CGI gets outdated, the graphics don't look as good, the camera's not as nice quality. You know, maybe the movie was, I don't know, in black and white, right? Our capacity for visual effects and camera quality has improved drastically over the last tens of 20s of decades. But the fact of the matter is, animation is timeless because of the simple nature of animation. Like, yeah, Snow White from way back when, still choppy, a little choppy, but it's watchable, and it's not bad. And the simple proof, in my opinion, that CGI isn't inherently superior to animation and live action isn't inherently superior to animation is because Disney's still freaking putting out animated movies.
Yeah.
If live action was like the superior vessel for their movies, why the frick was Zootopia animated? Why was Encanto animated? Why are they still teaming up with Pixar? They're still teaming up with them because animation is a great medium to convey storytelling and imaginative storytelling. Yeah. And yet they still insist on making these live action soulless remakes of their animations. Makes no sense.
It's not like they've cast animation to the wayside. Inside Out 2 was really good, and what else was really good? Strange World flopped. Okay. I don't know. I think they think we want it. And we do? Question mark? The Lion King, I don't even want to say it's live action. It's not. It's animated. It was at the top of the charts for #1 animated movie for like 5 years until Inside Out 2 took it over.
Yeah, that's so funny to me that one of the highest grossing animated movies of all time was a live action remake.
Yeah. Oh.
It's like Obi-Wan saying that Vader's more robot than human.
Yeah.
It's like it's really just a tragedy. I haven't watched, so I wasn't sure whether or not I even wanted to be on this episode because I haven't watched a live action remake of a Disney movie since Aladdin, and before that, Beauty and the Beast. I have not watched any of them because I don't care. I don't want to see them. I think Isaac is delusional, and I think I've considered dropping him as a friend because of his take on How to Train Your Dragon. I'm like, dude, just go back and watch the animated one. I don't know why you were so fixated on seeing these dragons in the live action format. They're not gonna. And here's the other thing: is this just like the Minecraft movie for me, where every time I see a trailer for these live action Disney ones, I'm like, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I don't know why anyone cares to go see these movies. It's so atrocious that I was going to play devil's advocate because I knew that both of you were going to be against the live action remakes. And so I asked my new friend ChatGPT to tell me, I asked it, and I quote, what are the best arguments for why companies like Disney should continue making live action remakes of their classic animated movies? The #1 answer that ChatGPT gave me was financial success. And I think that basically sums up the state that we're in right now.
Not a respect for the art, not a chance for a new actor to come on the scene. Financial gain.
I like money.
And you know what the #2 reason was? Nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
Number 3, technological advancements, which isn't even an argument when you're talking about animated movies, unless you're remaking the animation as like a remaster.
Yeah.
Number 4 is slightly more relevant, expanding the story and character depth. I don't think they do it a lot, but when you do take the time to use a new medium, especially since a lot of those early animated ones were very short, relatively, you can expand the story length. You can go in more depth and flesh out some characters that maybe weren't. But I just don't see that happening often. Yeah.
There's actually, I was watching, I'm sure Zach watched Nando's video too, but he has a video, I believe, called Who Are These Live Action Remakes For? And he kind of makes an argument for there's some, this isn't his main argument, but he says, what if we re-released Incredibles with the same style that Incredibles 2 had? Just this, no. Zach says no. Don't. But it's an idea. It's an idea.
It is.
I don't think The Incredibles should ever be a live action movie. But what if we're gonna update graphics? Why not keep it in the same genre and have it be a little bit just fresh on the eyes? Like video games do this all the time. They re-release the video game on the PS5 with way better graphics, like The Last of Us. Josh is off playing The Last of Us Part 1 on his PS5 while I'm stuck with his PS4 version. Just gross, like unplayable, literally. But that's the point, is like, yeah, you're going to enjoy the new one, but you're really, like, the old one is just fine. Just leave it be.
And like I said, if they want to do a remaster like they do with video games where you sharpen up the animation, maybe make it a little less choppy, heck, it wouldn't even cost them that much, because at this point you can get basically AI programs to smooth out all the animation and fill in missing frames and make the colors and lines look sharper. Like, that's fine. You could do that if you wanted to, and I don't think anyone would care if you remastered your old animated movies.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I say all of this like everyone is cynical and everyone hates the live actions, and yet, and you just said with the video, who are they for? I don't know who they're for, and yet they still make money. So I don't know what's happening, but they're appealing to someone.
Yeah.
I know I'm the one back in the nostalgia episode too that questioned if there's a place for remastering movies like this. But at the same time, would a movie lose its charm if you did that?
Probably. Like, I'm not advocating for that. I do think that there's charm in the old versions of animation, especially when you understand the history of things like that. Like, it's more than just an objective viewing of a movie. There's art to watching Snow White from 1937, understanding that this is the first full-length animated movie, and it looks amazing. This is a groundbreaking technology for their time, and it looks great. Like, it's ridiculous.
I'm just thinking, like, if you watched Toy Story, but it had, like, the animation quality of, like, Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
Would it still hit the same?
I don't think
Probably
so. Because the reason Toy Story was made that way is because anything that they could render in 3D looked plasticky. So the geniuses that they said, let's make a movie about plastic, living plastic, and we'll show that humans a limited amount. The one character that we will be focused on, Sid, looks grotesque because of his crazy braces and his ridiculous smile and all that. They play to their strengths. The dog is probably the worst part of Toy Story, where he looks like Nando calls him a microwave with legs. It's just so boxy and ridiculous. But then you get to compare it to what Toy Story 4 looked like, and it's fun to see that, but I don't think you need to remaster in that way.
Sure. Counterpoint would be, I don't think that animation changes enough for it to be ruined for me. I think that the story and the characters are good enough to stand on their own, and you could make that argument maybe about some of these shot for shot remakes, but I think keeping it in the same medium with slightly updated graphics, I think the best argument that I've seen specifically for the remaster is, I think you're right, there is significance to watching the original Snow White and being like, this is what it was. Yeah. The first animated full-length movie. The problem is when you're explaining that to a 6-year-old girl, they don't appreciate the significance how monumental the original Snow White was. And she is used to watching modern shows and modern animated movies which have a cleaner look, and she doesn't want to see the choppy animation, and she just doesn't think it looks as nice. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, because like I've most of the media content I've consumed in the last year, other than a handful of movies, probably like 5-10 new movies I watched this year, I've consumed quite a bit of anime over the last 6 odd months, and I've tried to get into some older stuff, like some older classic animes from the 90s. I can't watch them. The animation, now it's granted, anime is a different art style than the West, and especially when you're making these long animated shows that run for a lot of episodes, less budget per episode compared to like a Snow White or these full-length animated movies. But the animation on some of these old animes is so choppy, I can't stand watching them. But like if their stories are good, their characters are cool, so like if they had a more modern, better animation, I'd be more inclined to watch them. That's what I would argue for the live actions, or not live actions, but remasters of animated movies, to catch a newer audience that is used to a new level of graphics and animation and has a hard time enjoying and consuming older animation.
And I think that's a good point. These live action remakes could be used to reintroduce the story to a new audience. Because it's true that I don't think a child today is going to enjoy the original Snow White. Just, yeah.
That's bold.
So, but
I'm gonna make my kids watch Snow White just because it's because I have a degree in animation. I want them to respect it.
It's fine. You can do that.
Just because of the old style of film it is, I don't think it's going to be enjoyed today by your average
people
child.
change, and kids specifically don't have an appreciation for the arts the same way I can appreciate that Snow White is the first long form animated movie. They're not going to get that.
But when you're going to botch the movie as much as you did, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, like actually do a good job with it.
The point.
Okay, so do you think that there's a middle ground between the live action remakes and making them good? Such as, I believe Cinderella doesn't get enough credit. Yeah. Cinderella adapted. I mean, it was Kenneth Branagh. I know he's really good with the movies he directs and acts in. But he changed it in a way that made it work for live action, I would say, so that it didn't have, like, I'm thinking, for example, The Little Mermaid, where they have a real-looking crab for Sebastian and a real-looking fish for Flounder, and just having them talk just doesn't fit well. Like, yeah, mermaids don't actually exist, but does that mean that everything has to somehow look real as though it could, as opposed to making the features be exaggerated and all that? They even learned that between Lion King movies. The first one was basically, yeah, I would argue that it looks filmed because it looks like real lions, but then you lose all the emotion. Yeah, the Lion King is actually a really interesting comparison, because you can compare the Lion King movie to, which year did that came out in 2019? That 2019 movie to the 1994 movie to compare emotions, but then now Mufasa, the sequel to the live action Lion King, again, not actually live action, is out, that you can compare what they've learned since then, because people have noted that they're actually expressing more in the Mufasa movie, because they're like, yeah, we understand that we didn't express enough with these real lions, and so let's fix that. Even if that makes a little bit of an uncanny valley for a lion that wouldn't actually smile and move lips. I don't think many animals have lips like that. It's an interesting comparison.
I think the reason why Cinderella did so well compared to most of these is that because it's I feel like it was just another adaptation of the classic story. That
that makes
tried
sense.
to capture they tried to have its own aesthetic and look, instead of all these remakes that just try to look like the animated movie, which I think is why the the originality and creativity is kind of what made that one be so well received compared to all these others.
Yeah.
I mean, I would agree with that. And just to kind of add on to it, it's like you just said, I think what made Cinderella work and what made Beauty and the Beast almost work was the fact that they focus on it's a human story about humans who it turns out live action is filming humans. So I think it works to have this medium where it's like, yeah, the story's about humans, so why not have humans act out the story? I think it loses me, these remakes, as soon as you try to get Sebastian the Crab, a Little Mermaid, and Ursula, and like the candle whose name I'm blanking on, and the teapot, and the whatever ship. Like, as soon as you get into all that, you begin to lose me, because now you've lost all the charm of the actual animated, and you lost it for the original. There's like 3 good things that ever came from the live actions. Cinderella was alright. It's been years and years since I've seen it, but I remember it being alright. Will Smith as Aladdin, or not Aladdin, the genie. Sorry, the genie in Aladdin, and Emma Stone as Belle.
Yeah,
that was about it.
Watson.
Emma Watson, not Emma Stone.
Emma Stone was Cruella.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Emma Watson as Belle. That's those were the only 3 good things that they've done with the live actions, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and they're on a bandwagon now of doing all of them. That's the part where we're in 2025.
Yeah, they're not
I think
stopping.
they could have gotten to a place where they just adapted a few of them, like Cinderella, because Cinderella could have been like I think you're right, Zach, in saying that it was probably adapted from the original story and not the Disney animated. That bodes well for a better story that's more timeless. Whereas now I bet I would be very surprised if in the next 20 years we do not end up with a live action Tangled, live action Princess and the Frog, and I think there was Brave was on the list of different animated movies. Frozen's probably on that list, and Raya. I don't even know if Raya counts, but that's another Disney princess that they could adapt. And I guess it's not only princesses, because Pinocchio.
Well, here's according to Wikipedia, here's the list of upcoming movies. So
I'm on the same page as you are.
Lilo and Stitch. Obviously, we talked about that. Moana.
Yeah.
Don't understand that. Okay,
we'll get
moving
to it.
on. Hercules.
Yep.
I think they could do something with that. Like with Cinderella, if it's another adaptation of the original.
Guy Ritchie directed.
Yeah, that too. Robin Hood.
That's been done a couple times, I think. But that's the base story, not the movie.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah, hear me out. What if we did Robin Hood, but with humans and not animals? I think this might be an original idea here.
Yeah.
The Aristocats is getting a freaking live action remake.
Please.
That's going to be like the next Cats.
Yeah. I would love to see the Aristocats in the Cats movie style, where it's just humans in fursuits.
No, you wouldn't.
It's called sarcasm. You know everything about it, Deacon.
But again, too, like Lion King, it's like cats are the only characters in it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
okay,
Bambi.
Yeah.
Bambi's getting a freaking live action remake.
Okay, but because I know Tangle's at the end of that list, but the interesting thing about Bambi is that there was just a trailer that was just released for the Poohverse from Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. They're now adding Bambi to the roster of horror villains from that.
Oh, that's a great addition.
Obviously, there was the SNL skit of the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing Bambi, which was really funny. But that's the point: is it's supposed to be ridiculous and sarcastic and not real.
When is that? When are we gonna get Steamboat Willie into that next?
Well, Steamboat.
Actually, I was thinking about that when you were talking about the original animated movies and how Mickey Mouse and all the other animated characters from way back when all those companies had those black and white ones. Where's my live action Mickey Mouse, Disney? You've made everything else. Where's my live action Mickey Mouse?
Yeah. they won't touch the mouse.
Would it try to like have the Sonic the Hedgehog look where it's like the animated character but 3-dimensional? Or would they go for like an actual mouse?
Yeah, I don't
like wearing the little overalls and the gloves.
He looked like the one at Disney World, except his mouth moves.
Yeah, I just don't think that would work.
No.
Here.
It turns out that when you take it from an animated medium to a live action medium, it just doesn't work well.
Crazy concept. Here's what Google brings up.
No.
I mean, that's kind of like a Stuart Little style, but it's still too exaggerated, like the feet and such.
It's kind of hot.
Okay.
I think we can run it. I think we publish it.
I was going to talk. Well, sorry. Let's not move on to that one step yet. I was going to talk about the changes. We've been talking about what you change, what you not. Something in me just gets irked for. It's probably the Snow White, where why did they not cast real dwarves for the 7 dwarves? It's literally in the title. Actually, it's not. They changed that. That's one thing, is that the new movie is called Snow White. The old movie is called Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. That's funny. But I was thinking about what I heard about Pinocchio, the new one from 2022, and how the fairy. Oh no, that's actually kind of cute. It's gross, but it's cute.
No, don't tell me that that's cute.
No, but he doesn't have gloves and boots and stuff.
You see those black soulless eyes? Those are the only distinct things that make Mickey are the overalls and the freaking white gloves.
You're right.
Okay, back on topic.
Back to Pinocchio. They made the fairy. I don't know if it's probably not the fairy godmother, but they made the fairy into Fruity Man, if you know what I mean. And I don't know why. There is no reason except for, social signaling to say, hey, we're including this character. It's like we've been talking about there needs to be a purpose behind the change. I even understand cutting out some of the old jokes. They're pretty edgy sometimes.
Wait, what movie are we talking about?
Pinocchio, 2022.
The fairy?
Yeah.
The fairy was Cynthia Erivo.
Maybe I thought it was a guy. She's still fruity. If you know what I mean.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Cynthia. I still stand by it. Because if you look at the fairy from the original, she's very different than what Cynthia portrayed. Again, what do you change? What do you not? People were in an uproar with Will Smith being the genie, not playing it like Robin Williams. But there's a whole saga from a video I saw of how Robin Williams didn't even play the genie for the second Aladdin movie way back when. And then it just kind of became like, of course, he's kind of the epitome of genie, but you don't have to be Robin Williams to be genie. You can,
and frankly, Will Smith was awesome as the genie, in my humble opinion.
He was very fun.
And I think part of what made it work was he didn't try to be Robin Williams. That's the whole point. He didn't try. I think too many people. I mean, right? The live action remakes have to tell this line of being not straying too far from the original story, but being original enough, and they have to find this balance in between there. And I think too many people were like, you can't recast Robin Williams as Will Smith. No, you can't. Not if you're trying to go for the Robin Williams genie.
Yeah.
But Will Smith made the genie his own.
Yeah.
He was Will Smith's genie. And I think he did an excellent job making that work.
It's kind of like the role of Beetlejuice. I've seen some clips of the TV show, not TV show, the theater show. And it's just whoever you pick to play Beetlejuice has to be, embodies the character. You got your Beetlejuice, but he's also, how does he play to the crowd? How does he take on the role for himself to make it unique and not just a copy of what it was in the movie or in the story or whatever. And then you get into The Lion King, where you have James Earl Jones still playing Mufasa. That was, whenever I say that, I think of Isaac's realization way back in our How to Train Your Dragon episode, where he didn't realize that. But Isaac's getting a lot of hate this episode. I just realized. I'm sorry, Isaac.
That's fun.
Deacon and I are so silly.
I still love you, Isaac.
At least that makes one of us. Just kidding. They didn't they still had James Earl Jones playing Mufasa in the live action, quote unquote, and nobody else. Like, why does he get special treatment just because he's still alive?
Because he's James Earl Jones.
I get it. He's James Earl Jones.
His
but like,
voice is so cool.
Why didn't everybody else get, like, if they cast them properly, one, why are they remaking it if they're not going to change Mufasa? And also, why go with only him and not?
I thought you were just complaining about how we were changing things without good reason. And now you're complaining when they keep it the same. I think we've come to the realization of the problem here.
I think it's inconsistency.
The remakes suck when they make changes, and they suck when they don't make changes.
You got a point.
Just stop.
Just stop. The inconsistencies turn into like, no, just shut it down. I was gonna talk about the ever encroaching length of time between remakes. It was I want to know when Moana live action was announced, but it's already been 2016 since the first Moana released, which seems it makes me feel so old. But that's so far the shortest time between animated and live action. It's going to be 10 years. So the live action one's coming out next year, making it 10 years between animated movies. Before that, I believe it was Aladdin. No, it was Mulan that was the shortest, with 22 years between releases. But then, the exponential graph means that eventually in like 2040, we're going to get the live action announcement like an hour after the movie releases.
Dude, you know what would be sick when we get the simultaneous drop where you can go see the animated or the live action version. It'll be sick.
Yeah, the animated versus live action for Frozen 15. That'll be fun.
Yep. To be fair, it's Frozen came out in 2014 and we've only had one sequel. It's been a decade.
Yeah. I mean, I believe Once Upon a Time had the Frozen characters show up in a couple episodes. But
so did Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet. But...
No, that's what I'm saying is it's not a direct adaptation. It's the concept of these characters being real, or Wreck-It Ralph using that, like I think Ready Player One or the new Space Jam, where they just took all of the properties they own and just found a movie to cram every single face into to try and get, hey, look, we're a cinematic universe or something like that.
It's just like Food Fight.
What's Food Fight?
You have a degree in animation and you don't know about the train wreck known as Food Fight?
I recognize the dog, but no, I don't. I've never seen it.
Watch a commentary YouTuber talk about this movie. It was so bad.
I'm on it.
I was going to say, too, it's interesting how we've had live-action remakes since 1994 with Disney. But I feel like the era of live-action remakes didn't really start until 2015 with cinema.
Yeah, the era. Well, when did... I'm looking at the Disney or the Wikipedia list. Obviously, 101 Dalmatians. It's interesting that they did 102 Dalmatians without. It's kind of the same thing as Lion King, where Lion King got an adaptation and then branched off into its own sequels without any basis in that. And
I grew up watching both. Those two.
Yeah,
101 in Dalmatians, 102 Dalmatians, and those were good because they weren't just shot for shot like the ones we have now. Unlike the original, the dogs didn't talk; they were just dogs, and the story more revolved around the human characters, which was an interesting way to do it. So,
yeah. Well, you had said that the era of live action remakes started in 2015. I actually think it would start in 2014 because of Maleficent. Okay. And that's also a different point, that Maleficent and Cruella are takes on the story from the villain's perspective. And Maleficent got a sequel too, But Cruella was created because they already had a live action remake of 101 Dalmatians. And so they had to make a different story that wasn't 101 Dalmatians.
Hey,
With
well, Jungle Book did it twice.
Jungle Book did it twice.
It's because it's goated.
I think Maleficent got a sequel just because it's Angelina Jolie, quite honestly. Like
the first one was good.
She's good as Maleficent.
Being attractive does get you places.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I'm the only one who's married. Never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say.
I like you as a friend, Deacon. I want to keep things that way. So maybe that's for the best.
Yeah.
I would almost say that you could almost say that live action era began in 2010 with Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, but then you're already so far back. You might as well just go on 2000 with 102. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but then it was like a 10-year gap there too.
No, but think about what you're saying with the era. Oh, 1 second.
Yeah.
Think about what you're saying with the era of live action remakes. I do think that Maleficent and Cinderella kicked something off even before Sorcerer's Apprentice and Alice in Wonderland, or after Sorcerer's Apprentice and Alice in Wonderland. Like those were kind of one-offs. Same as like I was talking about earlier with the non-Disney movies like Popeye, TMNT, Flintstones. They just kind of happened every once in a while, and they didn't do that great. And then the era of let's remake everything was 2015 or 2014-ish.
Alice in Wonderland are also remakes I can appreciate, even though I haven't seen them, because they tried to capture. I mean, they did capture their own aesthetic instead of ripping off the original, because they just had Tim Burton do his thing. And
I just realized looking at the Wikipedia list that there were 5 live action remakes released in 2019, and guess what also happened in 2019? Disney Plus.
COVID?
Disney Plus.
Oh.
Because I remember, I think Dumbo was pretty quickly shuffled to Disney Plus, or maybe no, because it was a March release. I didn't see Dumbo. Maleficent, I don't remember, but Lady and the Tramp was definitely a Disney Plus exclusive.
Wow, what a way to increase traffic to your website. Live action Lady and the Tramp.
But not.
Wow.
Actually, I do think Lady and the Tramp was probably the old version where they would have a dog act and then just do the mouth like a puppet later, which I think, like Air Bud, those movies are fun. And those, like Babe and Charlotte's Web, like those movies where they have real animals. Those are charming. But something I thought of today is that Disney Plus exclusives are the new form of direct-to-DVD.
yeah,
Like that used to be a bad thing when you had a movie go direct to DVD because they didn't think it would make any money in the theater. And that's worse with Disney Plus because you aren't paying for the movie directly. Like obviously when it would go direct to DVD, people still had to buy the DVD. And Disney Plus, you have the subscriptions being spread out so thin for so many rights and so many original movies and stuff that it's really not profitable in the long run.
No, but I mean, it's like at the store when they have their doorbusters sale on something where they end up losing money ultimately on that sale, but it gets you in the door, so you end up paying for more.
Yeah. You're right. You start watching the other stuff.
Yeah, and then pretty soon you've spent a few months worth of your salary on like whatever, keeping your subscription, and then you forget about it, and then
and then you get Rocket Money. I wish we were sponsored.
You get Rocket Money, and then you get rid of it, and then
Maybe one day I'll be able to do an ad that's like, I'm paying how much for subscriptions? I looked up Food Fight to add some videos to my watch later. Microwave Society's title for their review of it is "Food Fight was a little fascist." Interesting. Now I'm intrigued.
It was a little bit but the list of celebrities associated with that movie, and then when you learn about like the disaster that was production, it's how much money they sank into that movie to get the atrocious masterpiece that we got. Was
atrocious masterpiece.
Kind of immaculate.
Yeah.
Truly.
Seth, I think we found another OEFP movie night movie.
If we ever get to that, yeah.
Yeah. James Arnold Taylor was in this. Wow.
Oh wow. I was just looking at further on the Wikipedia page, the spin-off from Aladdin about Prince Anders is apparently still in development. Do you remember that guy?
Who?
Prince Anders was, I believe, an addition to the Aladdin story where he was going to court Jasmine, and people was like, "Oh, he's so funny because he's Swedish," and I'm like, first off, not true. Second off, as a Swede myself, I can say that. Second off,
Right.
It just seems like another Disney thing to, just like the Star Wars. We've given every single stormtrooper a story except for this man's left foot.
Yeah.
I think the guy playing Anders is also the one playing Pleakley in the new Lilo and Stitch. Yeah, he is. So
Yeah. What do you mean the guy playing Pleakley? You mean the one-eyed
It's
alien
all
who doesn't
connected.
it's all.
No, there was a Daz Reviews, I believe, was talking about how Stitch's original promotional material was very integrated into the other animated movies.
Yeah.
And yes, there have been posters for the new one like that, but he said, if you were to bring back the entire cast of the previous movies and have Stitch ruin a scene in their movie just the same way that he did the animated one, it would be an internet phenomenon. And all they've done is having him bite a mahi mahi from Moana, or holding the genie Aladdin thingy.
The bottle.
It's not.
Now that you mentioned Pleakley, though, like how far out are we from the Stitch movie coming out?
I think it's May release.
So it's May, and I haven't necessarily been keeping up with the trailers, but everything I've seen hasn't had any of the other aliens other than Stitch featured.
You ready to
in
see?
any of the
Are you ready to
promotional
see
stuff.
Pleakley?
Yeah.
He just showed up. We talked about him in our recent episode.
Yeah, and then I actually watched the movie for once.
Did you like it?
I liked it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It's so fun.
I'm tempted to watch Leroy and Stitch now.
I enjoyed that one a lot as a kid. I haven't watched that in a long time, but
It's a little blurry, but yeah. I think they're doing the thing where they have to transform into humans because again, there's only so far you can take the suspension of disbelief. The animation, they're like putting on wigs and they're like, "Oh, this is my ugly wife over here." That's funny for the animation. It would never pass in live action, and so they have to have this transformation of we're going to be humans or be have stealth technology or something. I don't know.
And I think Disney's also worried now about it being labeled as offensive to have him dressed as a woman, which is
that too. That makes sense.
it's offensive to do that, but it's not offensive to recast dwarves as not dwarves.
There's been a lot of dwarf actors who have been rallying against Snow White because obviously you should be advocating for jobs for them because sometimes they're written into the stereotype. Other times maybe they get a chance at having a normal character. You know, there's casting calls that go out that say, you know, we don't really need this person to be a certain ethnicity, so we'll take anybody. And that's good in its own way if that's what the character is. Otherwise, if it's like you can't have a white man in a Civil War movie about slavery being a slave. Like that's not how those movies work. You need specific types of actors. So it depends. Maybe there are roles for dwarves and they took them away in Snow White's case. Well, the other option is to have a story that doesn't care if they're a dwarf or not. You know, that's kind of integration ideology.
Well, you know why it wasn't real dwarves, right?
No. Is there a reason?
Because Peter Dinklage said it would be offensive.
Yeah, because he speaks for all dwarves.
Apparently he speaks for the dwarves. So
I don't know. I bet people are upset about that too. It's like, what are you talking about? We want jobs. We want to be actors.
The big successful dwarf actor just taking jobs away from all these other ones.
And he still got to be in the movie.
Was he in the movie?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I knew this part even before I see it tomorrow night, is that the bandits are actually what we saw as the dwarves when they were not even going to be dwarves. So first off, they didn't cast dwarves and they cast tall people, and Peter Dinklage, he was still in there. And then they kept those people and made the dwarf CGI, which is like another slap in the face to dwarves. It's like they're really trying not to cast these short people in the role that's written for them.
Yeah, he's got a short temper.
You're hilarious.
Are you sure he's in the new one?
He was in the bandits group in the picture at least, and then I learned that the bandits are still in the movie, even if they're not what we thought as the dwarves or the rewriters of dwarves.
Because it doesn't look like he's actually in it anymore. If he was,
I'll tell you tomorrow, but we're not recording tomorrow.
Okay.
So,
Guys, editing Seth here. After I've seen Snow White, I have some thoughts because I was wrong that Peter Dinklage is not in the movie. There's a guy who looks remarkably like him that I thought was Peter Dinklage for a second, but it wasn't. It was another guy. Nonetheless, he was a dwarf in the bandits, and the bandits were, I don't know if they were always meant to be in the movie or if they were actually supposed to be the dwarfs, and then they switched to CGI. I don't know the status of that. I hope we get to know that sometime. But the hard part to wrap my brain around is that when they were, when the entire story was climaxing to the end, that it was a real life dwarf, the dwarf actor, who saved the day with an arrow. Spoilers, not that you're going to go see it or you already have seen it at this point, but he shoots a crossbow and I believe shoots the dagger out of the witch's hand or the evil queen's hand. And it just feels so wrong to have him even in the movie after such controversy and putting the dwarves in the movie as CG when you're acknowledging that small people exist, and yet you're not going to give actors in our world those roles. Like there has been protests outside of Disney from small people getting these roles, and that Disney hasn't given to them. They didn't give them that opportunity, and it's right there. And just having that be the climax of him successfully taking that shot and winning was just so, it just felt so wrong. I guess it's a win that's how the movie ends and how the drama unfolds, but they moved so much into the CG part of the dwarves, and then the bandits were an addition. And like I said, I guess it's a win, but it just seems so wrong that they could have been 7 or 6 other dwarf characters and not the bandit. I don't know. I need to rewatch the original just to actually compare, but those are my thoughts. And it's frustrating. Back to the episode.
I mean, to be fair, getting 7 dwarves would be a tall order.
You gotta stop, man. That was a good one. I'm sorry. That was really good. I don't know. I wanted to touch on this before we finished up. We've obviously made the point. Everyone knows the point. We're just the normal podcasters who are saying the point over and over again just for our own content, you know? But there's a specific niche, not niche. There's certain stories that are written for their medium. You can't just translate that into a different format and expect it to succeed in the same way. People have been talking about an Arcane live action. Like, it's fun to fan cast, but never, ever make an Arcane live action. Or name any other original...
That would be a tragedy.
Name any other original animated... there's like more respect
Clone Wars
for...
too.
Clone Wars? That's a good one.
I hear people talking about that, yeah.
I think it could work. I think Clone Wars live action would... I enjoyed episode 2 and 3, I'll be honest. If we got the Clone Wars as with the CGI of Revenge of the Sith, I'd watch it. I think that would be cool.
Okay, this is a whole different rabbit trail. First off, we got a glimpse of it in Ahsoka, where we had Hayden Christensen donning the same suit that Clone Wars Anakin had with like the shoulder pads and stuff. Like, that's the same story, obviously. I think Star Wars has done a great job with diversifying how it tells its story, whether it's live action movies or shows or animated shows or so on and so forth. They kind of nixed the whole book idea pretty quickly, but I think that that's another way that you can tell story and fill in lore. The other thing is that, I don't know if you guys know about this, there was a kid who animated the Mustafar fight in Clone Wars style. So he reverse engineered it. Obviously, I know it's not actual reverse engineering in the literal sense, but he just animated with Clone Wars accurate characters. It looks great. Like, it's just an interesting concept to go backwards that way. it's not really necessary to do those things. I just think it's fun to try them out. That's what fan casting is all about. Like, yeah, I understand that some arcane actors could fit their own roles that they play with their voice or whatever. It's just that never needs to happen. Just leave it as is. It's written for animation, and it can stay that way. I think that's our big point.
Yep. But despite my tirades and my hatred for the live action remake, I have come here as an ambassador for the live action remakes, and I'm here to submit my applications for the next live action remakes. Number 1, Puss in Boots and The Last Wish. I think that would be goated. I think that needs to happen, and it would be a real disservice to society if we don't get it. Number 2, Zootopia. Please make Judy Hopps live action.
No, stop!
Please. All right. Number 3, Wreck-It Ralph. I know that Wreck-It Ralph is actively a movie about animated video game characters that are inherently not supposed to be realistic, but I need to see the Pac-Man in real life again, and I don't like the one in Pixar's. So I need Wreck-It Ralph to be live action. Number 4. I think we're on 4.
Number 4.
Cars. If we just get real cars to drive around, it'll be like Ford versus Ferrari, but without the people. It will be so cool. I think the world needs to see a movie about cars without people in it.
Are you reading something
Number
right now?
5, Finding Nemo. I think it would be really funny if every time the fish gave any dialogue, just air bubbles just came out of like a realistic fish's looking mouth. And like, can you imagine like Nemo like meets up with his father Marlin again, and like tears start running down these like realistic fish's cheeks in the water? It'd be so cool.
Yeah.
And I think live action Bruce needs to happen. Number 6. I feel like Monsters, Inc. was truly made for the live-action format. Mike and Sully were born for the big screen.
Oh, no.
And I think that they really just... they need to make their way there.
Golly.
Number 7, I think, A Bug's Life. I think A Bug's Life was also ripe for the live-action format. I think that a bunch of bugs just like on dirt backgrounds like making really unnatural movements with their stiff limbs and exoskeletons would truly be a cinematic sight to behold. Number 8, DuckTales the movie. Treasure of the Lost Lamp. I think
That's such a deep cut. Wow.
I think that Huey, Dewey, and Louie deserve their shot at the big screen. I think it would be so awesome to see 3 white ducks walking around in like different color shirts and hats. I think it would be so much fun. Number 9, I think we're on The Great Mouse Detective. I think, again, like we talked about with Mickey Mouse, I think mice are truly making a comeback and a resurgence in the culture, and we need to capitalize on that.
Sorry, I'm looking back at DuckTales. I looked up live action, and it's just Howard the Duck pictures. It's like we should get those old Howard the Duck style of characters.
Howard the Duck paved the way. He walked so the DuckTales could fly.
Was there a 10, or are you stopping at 9?
You know, we can go to 10. I think Mary Poppins deserves a live action remake.
Wait,
So
hold on.
imagine this.
My brain is breaking.
Unless he's going where I think you're going.
You're talking like the penguins.
You flip it so it's animated until you get to the animated part of the movie, and then that's live action.
Oh, so you have real penguins dancing with animated characters.
That's Mr. Popper's Penguins, my dude.
Oh,
You're right.
Mary Poppins is the one about the weirdo lady who gives you a spoonful of sugar so you can take drugs. I think that's how the song goes.
I think so. That's
well,
how I
the thing
remember.
is that Mary Poppins Returns may as well be a Mary Poppins live action remake
Yeah,
because
basically.
it's just beat for beat of the
yeah,
original.
same thing.
So
Number 11, Bambi.
okay, that's
I just
already
want Hunter footage of the mom getting shot. That's all that I want. And then it just like goes to like some YouTuber gutting a deer. Like, can you imagine like the Bambi movie? Like the mom gets shot, Bambi's in tears. The hunter comes, picks up the carcass, sets up his tripod. What's going on, guys? Today we're gutting a deer, and just starts like gutting it
while Bambi's watching the whole time.
Yeah. It's just Brandon Herrera, and he's talking about his guns that he got and all that, and he's like, "Hey guys,
I just shot this deer with a 20 gauge shotgun. You see how? You just see how the head is still intact here, but the neck is completely shredded. She's lost a lot of blood. She's not moving.
Oh no! All right. Well, I think that's a good place to stop.
Okay.
Zach and I have a Daredevil to watch in 15 minutes.
Number 12, Shrek.
Yes. Actually, what would a live action ogre look like?
I don't want to know.
Oh, it's like I'm getting stuff like not Clash of Clans, Warcraft, like the Warcraft movie. They're just big brutes.
Anyway, number 12, Trolls.
Oh
Trolls from
no!
DreamWorks with the,
No!
I think, and we could get wait, was it Shawn Mendes or was it Ed Sheeran who was playing the one troll dude?
It was Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake.
Number 13, Captain Underpants. Captain Underpants deserves his own live-action movie.
When will they end? Number 14?
Number 14, Turbo. I just want to see a movie about an underground gambling ring where people gamble on snail races and then they equip, like, rocket boosters to these snails for their races. I think that would be amazing. Number 15, Kung Fu Panda. I think it would be really funny to see a realistic looking panda just struggle to do kung fu. And you'd have to get a real panda to train to do the kung fu moves.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Number 16, Madagascar.
How long is his list?
Skipper, Private, Rico, and frick, what's the last guy's name? I think they deserve to be there. Kowalski. Hey, number 16, VeggieTales. Deep pull. I think we need a live action VeggieTales. I think that the market is ready for anthropomorphic vegetables that look realistic. And the Bible has never been more relevant to our culture than now. So I think that there's a market there, and I think that the Christian moms will eat it up metaphorically.
Okay, Deacon, we need to go. I'm grateful for all of your suggestions, but I think that I don't know that many of them are going to stick. But we'll come back to them in future episodes.
We'll try to run them by a test audience here soon. So I'll let you know what our test market looks like.
I think we'll have a poll or at least a discussion on the Discord about what would be the most ridiculous movie to adapt.
Number 18, 3, 2, 1 Penguins. Especially the vacuum cleaner episode where they go to the plants with all the vacuum cleaners waiting in line.
It's just a bunch of Dysons.
Or just a bunch of women standing in line.
Okay, thank you guys for listening or watching. Maybe you'll be back next week. I don't know. You might be too offended at this point, but if you made it this far, I think you've got a pretty thick skin. Share this with a friend. Follow us on your socials. Until next week, know that you love. God bless. Hit us with one more, Deacon. Sorry, I threw that on you.
Thanks for watching, Bob.
Well, yeah. I figured that you were about to cut me off, so I quit thinking up the next one. Frick, you guys already said Monsters versus Aliens. Boss Baby. We're gonna get to Boss Baby. Real life. I think babies in suits are just the funniest thing to look at. They look so dumb because there's nothing going on behind their eyes. They just staring at you blankly wearing a suit coat just like a normal soulless corporate husk.
Yeah. All right. Well, my camera's dead, so that's it. Thanks, guys.
Good timing.
There we go.
All right. Peace.